Welcome, my friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you, as always, by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge. Smoke Camels for 30 days and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. Well, my friends, I am flying by the seat of my pants today. As you know, yesterday was Yom Kippur, and fasting all day. In my death shroud, I have I have a linen shirt and a white linen pants, white linen shirt, and I have my tallis and my kittel, which is literally the death shroud. But all of these are the clothes. I will be wearing all those clothes. I dress for death. And I spent the entire day contemplating the time when I will no longer exist. So this morning we got up, Karen and I went out, we hit the North Country Trail. We're on this 100-mile challenge, which is it's a challenge. So to finish 100 miles on the North Country Trail in within the year, within the calendar year, and January is coming up. And we've got about 40 miles left to go. So we have a bit of walking. So this morning we did 6.3 miles, I think it was, and which is quite a good walk. I was 2.5 hours, and just got back, stretching, shower, and here I am. Absolutely, yeah. I have a drink. I have an energy drink, uh, but uh, but I haven't even taken my first sip out of it. So God help me. I mean, so this is it. Nothing prepared at all because it's the time of the year. I want you to know that in Israel, often in this time of year, but also in Jewish communities where people are really immersed in the tradition, the phrase is after the holidays. You have a business to do or a paper to do or whatever, and you tell your partner or associate, yeah, I'll get to that right after the holidays. And what they mean is, from Rosh Hashanah, from New Year's to Sukkot, is a 3-week period in which it's just jam-packed with holidays. You've got, 2 days for Rosh Hashanah, then you've got Yom Kippur, and then you've got 8 days of Sukkot. And so in Israel, for example, the full semester doesn't start until after Sukkot. It just doesn't pay. In the United States, it's all you talk about, uh, uh, a jarring reality that is disorienting. We start the new year with all these holidays, and the school starts, and everybody, they got committee meetings, and students are coming and going. And in the meantime, you're in the middle of the holidays. So we are in the middle of the holidays, literally. This is the new year, and the next thing I have to do is drive down to Grand Rapids to get my lulav and asrog for sukkahs and get the sukkah up. Now, since last year, the sukkah is no problem. We got talking about modern technology. We have a pop-up sukkah. Literally, it fits into a bag. You unzip the bag, the thing pops out and just pops into shape. So there's just hardly anything to do there. But sukkah still requires preparation and decoration. So in the middle of the holidays, and yesterday, we begin the new year. It's a time for introspection, and so I have a list of all the dead people who are part of my life. There's a lot of dead people who are part of my life. And I have a list of them. So because in the middle of Yom Kippur service we have a Yizkor service, where a memorial service where we remember all the people who have had an impact on us. And for me, it's a matter of expressing my gratitude, understanding how these people have changed my life. And for me, there's also all the people who hated me. So there's every life is surrounded by people. There's some people who admire you, and some people love you, and some people hate you, and some people think you're an idiot. And so and in fact, this past week I was looking at. hundreds of YouTubes, and but also there are hundreds of others that have been made about me, and all kinds of things that have been said about me. I've said before, there's a chapter, this strange case of Barry Mehler, in Roger Pearson's book. I am surrounded by these opinions of me, and so I was listening this week that there's a bunch of them that I hadn't even noticed. YouTube has a wonderful algorithm; it just keeps feeding them up to me. And so this was a kind of a news show uh, aimed at a college audience, and and this woman was I was the story of the week at the time. It was obviously 2 years ago when it was all big news, and she totally misrepresented. She summarized what I was saying, which was that that my students were vectors of disease and I couldn't stand them, and and that this was my grading policy. None of the fact that this was a performance came through at all. It was being completely misrepresented, and it it really uh, doesn't make much of a difference. So here's where we get into before I was born. Well, no one had any kind of opinion of me because I didn't exist. And then after I no longer exist, it really is not going to matter to me, certainly. Um, but even now, while I exist, uh, it it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've said this before, I just was floating around for a week because this museum said that they wanted my archives, and I have all this stuff, and I have been dreaming about them going to some kind of heaven, some kind of afterlife, some kind of life after me, and but I realized that that's exactly what religion is. You believe that there's got to be something more. It can't be that there's no justice in the universe. That all these look at how much suffering there is, and all these people are suffering who don't deserve to suffer. They're totally innocent, and yet they suffer. And so you want that there should be some way to balance the books. There's a heaven where the righteous are rewarded, and all these people who are suffering, and then all those evil people who seem to have lived so well on this earth will go down. They're going to get theirs, boy. But if that's not the case, if in fact um, we are on the precipice of extinction, then once we're gone, there's no afterlife for my archives or for any so my death is not only the end of me, but it's the end of everything, really. It's not just my death that's coming, it's the death of our species and our civilization. And I've said this so many times before that our destiny is sealed. We know what direction we're going in. We understand that there's not going to be a redemption and a salvation. That things are not going to become. We're not going to have a nirvana on earth. That there's a utopian society. That's not the direction we're going in. The direction we're going in is towards uh, a brutal and painful collapse. Uh, and first of all, human beings are going to turn on other human beings, but we can see from Florida, that the planet itself is completely destabilized. But the latest is, the Earth's climate and environment has never been stable. This is not a stable system. So we didn't have much time when we started, and so we've tickled around and pushed things over the edge, tipping points all over the place. So that's set. And what I get is that it's like there's this tremendous anxiety now over November. What's going to happen in November? And I mean, I have no doubt that the Democrats will win the popular vote, so they will win the election in that case. But that doesn't mean that Kamala Harris will become the president. Who becomes president is a separate issue. And for that, of course, I have much less hope. The you know, it is whatever happens. Half the country is going to be terribly, terribly upset. But after the November elections, we could be living under the rule of, Adolf Trump. Uh, so this past week, I was in a Zoom meeting with people from the Just Attention International, JDI, this organization that I helped to create in 1978-79, which was organized to prevent rape in prisons. I had joined up with a young man who was a federal prisoner. He had been in prison since he was a teenager, early teenager, and he had been molested through his life. And he was bringing suit against the federal government to allow him to receive gay literature. And the prison system had said, no, no way, we cannot allow gay literature inside prisons because it will mark people for rape. And he said, I'm being raped anyway. What are you talking about? This is the only community that may lend me some support. Long story short, I was able to get him out of prison. We started an organization called POSRIP, POSRIP, People Organized to Stop Rape of Imprisoned Persons, which became Stop Prison Rape, which became Just Detention International. And in 2003, I think it was, in Congress, we were able to get Edward Kennedy, the most liberal member of Congress, to jointly sponsor a bill with Jesse Helms, the most extreme right-wing senator in Congress. And the two of them, this was not the first time they actually worked together often, or occasionally, whatever, to sponsor bills that was of mutual, everybody agreed. And stopping rape in prison was something that the right agreed to, the left agreed to. It wasn't, it wasn't a political issue, and it was passed. It set aside $400 million to do everything possible to reduce prison rape, and did things like mandated the reporting of prison rapes, and then looked at policies of prisons that had if you report and you follow it, so you see some prisons are better than other prisons, and so you go to the better prisons and you look at how they operate, what are the rules that they use, and then you go to the worst prison and you say, well, listen, you guys need to follow those rules because those rules are effective in reducing prison rape, etc. The point is that in this Zoom, the attorney for the organization said that they had better success in some cases with Trump administration officials than they had with Obama administration officials on issues of rape in prison. When you're dealing with an issue like this, and they were very, very strong about, listen, it doesn't matter. Adolf Hitler it could be elected president. We still have to do everything we can to help these people who are in this desperate situation. And as I say, this all started. Russell was a child when he was imprisoned and raped. And so there's a sister organization in South Africa. Both organizations have a survivors board. And so they really depend on people who've actually been survivors. So, you don't want to have experts coming in and running things. You want to have survivors coming in and telling you what needs to be done. And so in South Africa, two of the members of their survivor boards were two kids. They're not kids anymore, but they were 14 years old when they were arrested in South Africa, black kids, and they were thrown into prison. They were raped immediately. They just went through these horrible experiences, and now they are champions, fighting for some relief. And these are horrible, horrible prisons. And so the organization answers letters from prisons. They get about 50,000 letters a year. They answer every single one. And they have now been able to establish hotlines in several prisons where if someone is raped, they can actually contact directly. They can go to one of these hotlines and contact someone after you have been raped. So you need to have someone to talk to. And there's a new bill now before Congress, so it's several $100 million involved here, which is, it's bupkis, it's chump change, but it's not yet. This is not an issue that one side is on and one side is against. So And God forbid it should be. I mean, you want to try even, and this is true. I mean, the point is that even in the Warsaw Ghetto, you had to take care of the children. They still needed to go to school. They Everything had to operate, everything had to run. And no matter what happens in November, we're going to still have to go forward. We still have to do things. So I have uh, birds and squirrels in my yard. And the other day, yesterday, in fact, I was outside for the first time with a walnut, and I got that squirrel. I've been wooing him for quite a while. I call him Buddy. His name's Buddy. Because I can't tell one from the other, but so I call them all Buddy until I get to know them better. But he was on the fence, and I had my hand up on the fence, and he came and he took the walnut from my hand, and I tell you, it was a triumph. Whatever, there are things that have to be done. Uh, you know, the only thing I sell on this show is camels. I don't sell hope, but that doesn't mean that that the opposite of hope is despair. It's not. That has been a message that I've been giving for quite some time. This is the new year. These are the holidays. Sukkot is coming. The squirrels need to be trained to come on my lap and take my things. Uh, there are lots of issues that need to be addressed and that can be addressed, and we live from day to day. Next week I'll be back with more bad news, and for this week I leave you with Happy New Year. This is about all I can do for you. And I'll see you next week. Maybe I'll have some prepared remarks and I won't be just going around in circles. So I'll see you next week. Have a good week. Stay safe and talk to you later.